What's going on, everyone? Talen here, and welcome to another uniform review video. Alright, so we're going to be hopping into the final two uniforms of this massive update here, so finally down to the last ones, and that's going to be Thanos and War Machine. So let's go ahead and hop right in, starting with Thanos here. So here we have Thanos' Endgame uniform, and he's all suited up and ready for battle here in his nice armor, so he's looking really good with this uniform. I definitely prefer this look over his Infinity War look, which I did never pick up this uniform, but that's because I'm just not a big fan of PvP, so that's why I never really invested too much in Thanos, because he's mainly a PvP character. He doesn't shine too much in PvE content. With this new uniform, it looks like at least he could compete in PvE. So he does get better with this uniform for PvE content. I'm not sure by how much yet, if he's really going to be a massive jump or not. But let's go ahead and take a look at the uniform before I just speculate more on that. So here we have the uniform bonus, which is going to be increased damage dealt to superhero types by 20%, which is going to be the change from this uniform, from his Infinity War uniform. Besides that, the decreased damage received by superhero types by 30% and decrease all damage received by 20% is the same as his previous Infinity War uniform. And then we have 6 skill changes here. Pretty much the notable one is going to be the change to his tier 2 passive, where previously it was basically all of the effects that happen when he activates his first skill, his Titan Punch, I think it was. Now all of that has been removed from his tier 2 passive, and instead he gains a increase to skill damage by 10% and bonus damage by 40%, and then increase ignore defense by 10%. So all of that is brand new to him. That was not in his tier 2 passive before, and then all of the stuff from his old tier 2 passive has now just moved directly onto the skill that it normally effects, which is going to be his first skill. In this case, now it's the Titan's stab. So basically it was giving him the invincibility and also the remove all buffs from targets. So now all of that is on the skill itself. So he's not losing anything here from his tier 2 passive. And it did actually go up a little bit. He now has 3 seconds of invincibility instead of 2 seconds, and that's just because the skill animates a little bit longer, so he's needs that extra second to stay safe during the skill. But also one of the other main things to note here is actually the cooldown of the first skill has now been doubled. So previously it was 6 seconds and now it is 12 seconds. So you can't use this skill quite as often, which might hurt him in PvP because now you can't strip off the opponent's buffs as often. I'm not really sure. Like I said, I don't play PvP pretty much at all, so I don't really have any experience with Thanos in PvP, except when I have to get my timeline wins and I fight against him. That's pretty much the only experience I have while fighting Thanos. And then here on his second skill, we do have another change, which he does get some all defense down, which is really nice, and that does work in World Boss Ultimate. At least I'm 99% sure it is, because I'm pretty sure I saw it applying when I've seen other people use the uniform, because of course I don't have it right now, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that applies to World Boss Ultimate, which is really nice to help out with the damage there. The third skill is pretty much the same as before, except I think, is that all attack new? I gotta remember. Third skill. Yes, it is actually. So the penetration is the same, but we do get that nice boost right there for all attack 25%, crit rate 25%, and all speed by 1%. So that is actually really nice. Help boost his attack even more. And then the meteor is exactly the same, or the fourth skill. And then it looks like the fifth skill is the same as well. In terms of the text, he still has like the same damage immunity and that kind of thing, but the animations have changed a little bit. So let's go ahead and see what those look like. Alright, Thanos, let's see what you got with your new battle uniform here. So first skill, a little bit of lag there, let's do that again. So yeah, a lot more hits than his previous one, where you normally just suck them in and punch them. Now he sucks them in and whacks them around a little bit with his sword there. Or I forget what those dual swords are called. They're like Utagis or something like that. I don't know what the... Sorry if I butchered that. I'm not sure what the name of that weapon is that he has right there. And then the second skill, it does start with an iframe. He loses the iframe and then he gains the iframe. So he has some protection during it. You can, of course, get whacked right here, and I'm talking about PvE content. When you're in PvP, you're probably going to be able to guard break them with how many hits that is, because you're just swinging around right there. So yeah, I like the change to that skill because normally it was just that one kind of beam that he shoots with his gauntlet, which was kind of anticlimactic, and that was for the Infinity War uniform. The Secret Wars one, which is the one I still use, was the channeling skill, which I really like, and that's why I kept that uniform for so long. The third skill here, he does kind of a roar, jumps up, and then he gets kind of those energy beams in the ground. It's just an iframe at the start, and same as the second skill, you lose the iframe and then you gain it yet again. So, I don't know, I mean, he should be protected for pretty much most of that time. During that iframe is not much time for you to get hit, but it is enough in War Boss Ultimate that he could get killed from that. But Thanos luckily has that nice healing from his passive, so you can take advantage of that. For PvP, this does seem like a little worse to me, just because with the Infinity War uniform, he had an instant iframe and he jumps up and he just kind of punches the ground, but he stays in iframe for a little bit after he punches the ground, and then the energy beams that come out have the pierce, and that usually is enough to take out your opponent, at least in timeline. Whereas now you have this roar and then you get some damage in there, so it might be time, or might give the enemy enough time to iframe or get out of the way or something like that. So I don't know, that's just my speculation because like I said, I don't play PvP. The fourth skill right here is pretty much exactly the same. We have the meteor shower, which is nice. I do like this skill. It's a really cool looking skill. And then the same for the fifth skill, has similar animation to his Infinity War, but it does look like there are more kind of portals that open up, so we get more hits and more damage there. And of course the color has changed a little bit too. As you can see there, it looks more of like a lightning based attack opposed to like a flame or fire based one in his Infinity War. So overall, I'm liking the changes to this uniform here. It looks like it's getting a lot more AoE, a lot more hits, and hopefully a lot more damage for PvE. Yeah, at least that's what it looks like. So he looks like he's going to be viable in both game modes now, PvP and PvE. I'm not sure if this uniform here is going to be that much better for PvP than his Infinity War uniform. He does get the extra damage dealt to superhero types, but the skill changes look like they might be slightly worse for PvP. But like I said, I can't know for sure since I don't play PvP often enough. But for PvE, this definitely looks like a massive increase for PvE content. So because of that, I think I will pick up this uniform so I can finally start using my Thanos in PvE content. But before we do that, let's take a look at the tier 3 skill just for fun. Here we go. Yeah, I really like the animation of this tier 3 skill. It looks really nice, but from what I've been hearing, it's kind of similar to Sharon Rogers' tier 3 skill, that it's very easy to miss the enemy with the tier 3, which is kind of annoying. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be getting Thanos to tier 3, but I am going to be getting this uniform, playing around with him more. If he does really well in War Boss Ultimate, I will probably consider getting him to tier 3, but probably not for a while, so that video won't be coming up anytime soon. But anyway, let's go ahead and buy the Mad Titan here and get him all suited up and ready for battle. There we go. So now we have just one more uniform to look at, and then we're finally done with all of these uniforms. We have War Machine, so let's go ahead and hop over here. So here we have War Machine's Endgame uniform. Take a look here. You know, I don't really like this uniform as much as his Infinity War uniform. I think this one looks a lot cooler. There's like a lot more going on here. I like the red accents and stuff like that. This one kind of looks too flat. Like there's too many flat pieces on the uniform. I don't know. It's just not as appealing to me. And then we have his team suit here, which I think actually looks a little bit better than his Endgame uniform. Just because it's not as many kind of like flat, bulky spots on the uniform like this one. But anyway, let's go ahead and see what the uniform's actually going to do for Rhodes here. So here we have a 60% chance to get, what, 15% physical attack for 7 seconds on a 10-second cooldown. That's pretty similar to his Infinity War uniform. The Infinity War uniform had a 60% chance as well, but it was only a 10% all attack increase, but then he also had that little minigun help him out, right? Yeah, so he had the machine gun is activated automatically and fires continuously. Kind of surprised they didn't keep that. That'd be fun to still have that, because right here it's tucked into his backpack, and you still see that little minigun right there on his back, or in this case a bigger one. So they couldn't have that shoot because that was kind of a cool feature. I thought it was fun. So here we have 5 skill changes, which are pretty much the same as his Infinity War uniform, but we can go ahead and hop in and take a look at him, because I believe only one of these 5 skills is actually different than his Infinity War uniform. So yeah, first skill is the same, third skill is the same, and the second skill is the one I changed, I believe. Yeah, there we go. The second skill is changed, so now it has an iframe. It's got more hits than before. I don't know about more hits, but I think the hits are stronger on this second skill. Like, they do more damage, because his previous one, I believe, is just more kind of machine gun shots or something like that with his, like, wrist gun or something, his wrist turret. So yeah, this one looks like it does more damage, and the iframe is really nice because he didn't have that iframe before, so a little bit more protection is definitely welcome for War Machine, because he is kind of a glass cannon right now, but he really is a glass cannon, though. He does a lot of damage, so definitely if you don't have any of his uniforms, if you don't have the Infinity War uniform, I would recommend picking up a uniform for War Machine, because he is an absolute beast with either of the uniforms. But if you already have the Infinity War uniform, I would not really recommend getting the Endgame uniform or the team suit. It doesn't really change him enough, or at least I'm not seeing enough to warrant buying a new uniform for him. The damage increase is going to be minimal, and also the survivability with the second skill is probably still going to be minimal, because he still has the iframe on the 5th, 4th skill, and then also the guard on the 3rd skill, so he still does have enough protection. It's just he gets a little bit more with this uniform. So overall, if you have the Infinity War, I would say pass. If you don't have a uniform at all for War Machine, I think this one is going to be slightly better than Infinity War, so I would pick this one up as a first purchase. But anyway, that's going to be it for all of the uniforms here. Finally got through all of them, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this 5-part series of getting through these uniforms, and hopefully it helped you in deciding if you wanted to pick up any of these for yourselves. But that's going to be it for this video here. I hope you guys enjoyed, and of course I will catch you in the next one.